Good evening. May we call to order, please, this July 5th, 2023 Middletown Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Miller, will you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Kluskevich?
Here.
Mr. Lister?
Here.
Ms. Lloyd? Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Seitz?
Here.
Mrs. Willenbecker?
Here.
Mr. Redinger?
Thank you. I'd like to report on the executive session of Tuesday, June 20th. There was discussion of real estate, litigation, and personnel, but no action was taken. At this time, we have open pleas for public comment on agenda items only.
My name is Tom Staker. I live at 103 Birch Street.
Good
I
evening.
came before this council a few months ago to make a plea for consideration for the Middletown Reservoir and explain a little bit about the organization that I belong to that supports the Middletown Reservoir. I come back before this council again after reviewing last month's meeting, and my request is that this council consider some of the other aspects of the reservoir and other folks that are involved with the reservoir and what they are trying to do to help us come to some sort of resolution on the reason that we should be considering moving away from ownership of the reservoir. I can tell you since the last time I was here at this board meeting, I met with the executive officer of the Fish and Boat Commission, spoke to him personally face to face. I've also sat in front of and spoke with Representative Tom Mahaffey face to face and discussed the very issue of the Middletown Reservoir. I know you guys know these gentlemen because you've mentioned them in the past regarding the reservoir. They have committed to me personally in my face to see what they can do to help generate some revenue to make repairs and maintain the reservoir as it is today. I don't know what kind of money that is or how it works, but I don't understand why we would want to be considering selling the reservoir before we've allowed those two fine folks the due diligence of reporting back to us on what the possibilities of their hard work to support the repairs that are needed at that reservoir. At last meeting, it looked like you guys were ready to throw up a vote, get it on the market, and have it sold in the next 90 days. I don't understand why it's so quick. To me, there's so many missing pieces of what the reservoir offers, what it doesn't. Is it inside the borough? Is it outside the borough? You know, when we took ownership of it, the Middletown Borough took ownership of it. That wasn't Middletown, but the people on that board thought it was important enough to put it in our asset bag. Why today would we want to just sell an asset for the sake of selling an asset when we're not doing our due diligence to try and figure out how we're going to keep it so that it can continue to offer the things that it does? I realize that it takes money to maintain the reservoir, but I believe it is 61 borough councils prior to this one figured out a way to come up with the funds needed to maintain that. I belong to an organization that provides tons of in-kind services to the reservoir to mitigate some of the costs associated with the reservoir. I'm a member at that club. I don't see anybody in that club saying, you know what, we're tired of the Middletown Reservoir, let's stop what we're doing. I believe there's enthusiasm and dedication there to the reservoir to continue those in-kind services. And I believe that this board has a lot more work to do to understand the impact of getting rid of the reservoir. I don't believe that we have even started to go down the path of expert advice. I know Mr. Kleinpeter has done some of his due diligence. I don't think we have any idea what the actual cost is to repair that. And we certainly don't know what Mr. Mahaffey and the executive officer of the Fish and Boat Commission, what they could bring to the table. And therefore, I'm recommending that this board slow down, do their due diligence, and reconvene when we have more information that makes the sale of the Middletown Borough more sense than it does today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment on agenda items only?
Hello, my name is Ed Barb. I'm the president of Sportsman Limited. You know me, I've been in here how many times now over this ordeal? And I'll say it again. That place is, everybody loves it. You got people going in there hiking. You got people going in there fishing, picnicking. You know, it's just one of them things. And Sportsman, we take care of it out there. We clean up the trash. We call up the borough to come pick up trash. Sometimes we take it to another place and dump it. But it's like Mr. Staker says, slow down. Let the people of Middletown and the community say what to do with it. You say you don't have money, but you can come up with money for other projects in town. You can come up with money for out there also. I also talked to a manager out at Londonderry Township. He said he's waiting for Middletown to contact him about a joint together on the reservoir. I don't know exactly what it is, but he was waiting for Middletown to get a hold of them so they can discuss that. And that's Mr. Latali. So that's all I have to say. You know, Fish Commission doesn't really want to get rid of it. I've talked to different members of them, and they don't really. And there's only one place in town where kids can go fishing and be safe, and that's out the reservoir. Trout fishing. You can't. There's no place else around here unless you go up the country. Here it's close. Parents can be right there, have a picnic and everything. So that's all I have to say on it right now.
Thank you, Mr.
Please
Park.
slow down on whatever your decision is.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Carolyn Whittle. I know most of you. Those of you I don't, I will get to know you. I am going to have a question. I don't know if you answer questions or not, but on this resignation, do you have to have somebody run to replace this person, or do you appoint somebody?
The resignation for what position
It
again?
says resignation, Schmidt. Somebody's resigning?
That is one of our police officers.
Oh, I was hoping it was one of the people in the empty seats or something. Only because it's time that we consider using somebody in the community that folk know. This is ridiculous. I keep reminding you, this is just so sad. When I come in here, I cannot relate to what's going on because it's like I never see anybody that looks like me. Number two, nobody even thinks that they understand where I'm coming from when I say, why are you doing this, that, and the other? You got to put some diversity in here. People are not going to be coming to these meetings to sit here just to see us. That's all.
Well, there was an opportunity. You know, there are 5 council seats up in November.
Let me tell you what's wrong.
So there was an opportunity to get on the ballot.
But when I go to people and I say, I'm thinking about going to run on the Borough Council, and they say, Mrs. Whittle, you don't want to do that. You guys have a terrible reputation. It's like you don't want to get into that. And I'm like, why? And it's just so much stuff that we have to improve on. Because I mean, I'm older than I was, so I'm really not in the mood for any of this kind of stuff. I have enough stuff with the school board, so I'm just concerned that people are not interested in doing the right thing. And it's really not good when I hear people say, you don't want to be on that, you don't want to be on that board. So I just wish we would do a better job.
Okay,
I was hoping it was somebody up here.
thank you. Any other comments, public comments on agenda items?
Kay Wheelan, 131 Keystone Avenue. I'm back, and I'm back here because of what I see on the agenda here. And for these gentlemen here, I'm in full support for the Middletown Reservoir, for this borough to still control it. Help these gentlemen find the money that is needed to do whatever's needed for it to be better.
Well, I
It
just
is-
want to say, stand by for agenda item 7. Everyone who's interested in this topic, there will be more discussion and more information later on in the meeting. I just wanted to say, don't leave after public comment.
Okay, because, you know, it's like, what else is this council going to eliminate for the children and the adults alike?
Mhm.
We know what happened to the community pool. We know what happened to Elks Theater. So this is recreation, and there's grant money out there.
Mhm.
And this council, if you don't have a grant writer, that's where you should hire somebody
Mm.
to find the money that's needed to improve this borough and the residents and the businesses. We pay taxes too, just like you folks do. And I hope that you give extreme thought behind this, because to me, this is all that I'm seeing. Things being eliminated. You put, and granted, there's grant money, but you put 1 million plus in Huffer Park. And then there's other proposed things for tennis courts, pickleball, walking paths, all that kind of stuff. When you should be looking at other areas, you should be looking at this community as a whole.
Okay.
And to benefit the community as a whole. That's my argument, and I will continue to try to be an advocate for the residents of this community and the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none. Agenda item number 1, approval of meeting minutes.
Do I have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for the June 20th, 2023 meeting as submitted?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 2, approval of bills.
Do I have a motion to approve the payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated June 29th, 2023, which is for the period of June 16th, 2023 through June 29th, 2023, and to ratify the approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required action to make those payments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 3, if we can please welcome Dr. Scott Lindsay from the Middletown Area School District. And I believe there is a PowerPoint presentation as part of sharing with us his desire for us to support the gaming grant application for Raider Packs.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Willenbecker. I'm also joined by Lisa Bivens. She's one of our Raider Packs coordinators. Unfortunately, Kayla Ebersole could not make it tonight. She's our other Raider Packs coordinator. So if you want to go to the first slide. So Raider Packs is a long-standing food scarcity program in the Middletown Area School District. It's funded through the foundation. I'm going to go through some slides, give you some history, talk about some funding and what our future looks like. We currently service over 250 plus students in our Raider Packs program for the 22-23 school year. We have 2 coordinators who organize the volunteers and the weekly packing dates on Wednesday. The volunteers, as this is a pitch to the public and to yourselves, if you want to come volunteer and pack, volunteers are always welcome. You can contact Raider Packs at raiderweb.org. We pack from about 3 to 4:30? About 3 to 4:30 on Wednesdays, and then the bags go out to the schools on Fridays, and the kids take them home Friday afternoon, and then we repack for the following week. Slide. So funding and costs. So the Raider Packs is funded through donations from the Middletown Area Blue Raider Foundation. What occurs is members of the foundation they donate money, as well as the employees can donate anywhere from $5 to $25 per paycheck throughout the year to help financially sustain the program. Our goal is, we're future forward, myself and Dr. Hunter, as well as the rest of our administration team. We want to look at ways to offset the costs to make sure this program grows. Our low-income population jumped over 10% in the past 2 years, from 52% to 59%. So we're looking for more financial stability is needed for the long term for this program. So the average cost to feed a student per week is $5. What this is they get 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, 2 snack, and 2 family-sized meals for the weekend, every weekend. Currently, if you take $5 per week at about 250 kids, 9 weeks is a marking period. It's costing us roughly $10,000 per marking period to feed the kids. So we're looking at ways to offset this cost through the donations and sustain the financial stability of the program. So what we're asking from the Borough Council tonight is a letter of support for a Dauphin County gaming grant. We had our pre-grant meeting back in May with actually people from Eckerd Siemens. I met with Susan Yoakum, and our next step would be to gain a letter of support from the Middletown Borough Council to apply for $50,000 for the Raider Packs program for the 23-24 school year. If I receive an email from Mr. Kleinpeter, your borough manager, that you guys are willing to sign the letter of support, I'll then send the template from the county to Mr. Kleinpeter to fill out, and then we will submit the grant, and then we will go in front of the committee in September with a presentation with the goal of $50,000. The nice part is, once you apply for these grants and you actually get the grant, you can reapply on a yearly basis, but you don't have to keep updating the grant. The grant's going to be about 20 pages altogether. So it would just be a yearly letter of support. I would come back to you, obviously, and present definitely the data due to the fact you are supporting municipality. But our goal is to make sure that we can financially support this program to meet the needs of our students and families in the Middletown Area School District. Next slide. So uses of this, okay? So what we do is, all of our money right now goes towards buying food from Central PA Food Bank, and it is free through the Midwest Food Bank. The only issue is we are limited to what the food banks have. So if we increase our funding, we're able to branch out to other avenues of food to be able to provide more non-perishables food and also perishable foods. Because right now we're only using non-perishables because of the fact that we do not have the storage for it, and if you leave things for a week or 2, they get spoiled. So one of our goals to increase the funding is to have a food pantry. NutriPacks at Central Dauphin does a food pantry. So then what happens is they actually offer perishable foods like milk, bread, and eggs, where the families can come one time a month and pick this up. And then they're actually getting those perishable foods. And that would all be used for the grant funding. And another portion is our goal as we grow this program is we need to buy new book bags because they obviously get ripped, dirty, torn. We'd want to buy some more refrigerators to help advance our food pantry. And my goal in 2 to 3 years is to have a van that's actually dedicated to the food scarcity program, that A, if we'd ever have to deliver food, we could, or B, right now, one of our school employees actually takes time out of his workday to drive around the 250 book bags to each of our 5 buildings every Thursday afternoon. So it's a pretty big task that Lisa and Kayla have taken on. Right now, we have 7 volunteers that come in on Wednesdays, and our football team helped all spring. We're obviously going to branch out to the fall to the rest of our clubs, as well as our teachers and so forth. But what I'm doing tonight is just presenting you the facts, and then I would just like you to consider to please support us in this grant. And then, Mr. Klein Peter, if you just want to communicate and talk about the letter of support template, that'd be great. So, any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Lindsay?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Lindsay, just so you know, we, the Borough Council is always excited when the community comes forward and asks for a letter of support for the gaming grant. It happens annually. In fact, this year, we've already done a letter of support for the fire department, for the Middletown Swim Club, because we understand there are needs in the community that we are not in a position to meet, but we are in the community. And so when other entities step up to meet those needs, we always like to consider our support. So thank you very
Thank you.
much.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to co-sponsor the Middletown Area School District Raider Pack Program grant application for the Dauphin County Gaming Grant?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any questions or conversation, discussion? All opposed? Passed. So Ken, you'll follow up with him? Thank you so much. Agenda item number 4, the Tri-County Community Action. You recall from the last meeting that was their interest in sharing some space here in the borough office on Fridays.
Do I have a motion to allow the Tri-County Community Action to use space within the borough building on Fridays at no cost?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 5.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-1406, which will amend Chapter A 265 to provide for waiving of the Act 120 certification for police officer candidates?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 6, ordinance 23-1406.
No, we did that.
Oh,
Six is the Schmidt resignation.
resignation for Officer Schmidt.
Do I have a motion to accept Officer Robert Schmidt's letter of resignation with regret?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 7, the reservoir. Just as a little bit of catching up on where we are with this conversation, it began about, Ed, maybe a year ago. We first thought, the borough owns the reservoir is not in the borough, it's in Londonderry. So began a conversation on just what might be the best way to move forward with that property.
Can I add in?
Oh, yes.
Go back a little further, for some of you who don't know, a little historical data on the reservoir. The Middletown Reservoir was acquired by the Middletown Borough Authority. Middletown Borough Authority acquired it in 1960 as a drinking water source for the people of Middletown. So when they acquired it from the Middletown Londonderry Water Company was going out of business because they could not keep up with the new requirements from the federal government for drinking water standards. So a lot of small private water companies were getting out of business. Middletown formed an authority who was going to operate the water system. They purchased it from that company in 1960 for the sole purpose of drinking water supply to the filtration plant on Mill Street. So that, when it was obtained by a government entity of the borough, which is the Borough Authority, which was appointed by Borough Council, was for drinking water only, not as a park. It wasn't until probably the late 1980s or so that the Fish and Boat Commission approached the authority and wanted to stock it for trout. And that was while the authority was still in control of it. That relationship began with the Fish and Boat Commission more than 25 years ago, I should say. That agreement with the Fish and Boat Commission has expired, and they never renewed it, but they still continue to stock it. But if we jump forward to 2010, 2015, the Borough Council leased out its operation of the water and sewer system and turned it over, the operation over to a private entity. The private entity had no use for the reservoir because it wasn't no longer used as a drinking water source. So it was a land that the Borough Council obtained almost as an orphan. And yes, there were people who walked out there. I think when the authority still owned it, Dr. Charles Cole, who was on the authority board at the time, had a walking trail put in at his expense in memory of his wife. But as that, it was maintained for the parking area in stone. It really was never approved to be a park of the borough. Okay? So fast forward to today, the dam structure that's out there is probably the most costly thing to repair, and it's in need of repairs. So the discussion has been, ever since the authority gave up using that as a water source, probably in the early 2000s, what are we keeping it for, they would say. The authority tried to give it away to Conservancy a couple of times in order that it could still be a park for the greater community, Middletown, Londonderry, whoever. Council defeated that back then and wanted to hold on to the property. But we're at a point now where we're holding on to the property, and it's going to take significant dollars at some point. So, with all of our other infrastructure here in the borough, not out in Londonderry, you look what it costs to build a park. Now, it does have custom equipment, Hubbard Park. It was $1 million. It cost us $300,000 to do that little upgrade at Oak Hills. We have other parks, Fry Manor, ball fields. So at some point, council's going to have to make decisions on which things they can fund. Yes, there's grant money out there. We've been very active in the grant arena for the past 5 years, more so than ever before. Whether you know it or not, we recently secured a $1.5 million grant just to do the Emall Streetscape here, which has been coming up in a year or so. We secured $200,000 grant to upgrade Oak Hills. We secured $1 million in grant money to improve Huffer Park. We're
waiting for a grant for Overdeer.
Yeah, we have a grant in for Overdeer, which is right next door now. We have received a gaming grant every year for the past 4 years, I believe it is now, to fund the new fire popper that you see down at the Middletown Fire Department. That was a $650,000 vehicle. So far, we've paid down all but $140,000. Almost 90% of that money that's paid it down has all been grant money. So we've been very active, and we've been very successful in getting grant money. Outside of the grant money, Ann Street was beat up for so long when a prior administration had Suez at the time put water line in there, and they did not improve the street. It took us, this council and this administration, over 3 years of negotiations and meetings to secure an agreement with PennDOT, that PennDOT did a road swap with us and took over Ann Street and made it a state road, and they totally funded the rehabbing of that street at their cost, and at a greater future savings to us, they took the ownership of that bridge back out here at Route 230 in Ann Street. What do you think it might cost to replace that bridge 20 years from now? Probably 10, 15
Right.
million dollars to replace it. So we have been very successful in getting a lot of money in 5 years. So, you know, there's been a lot of money available in the past couple of years because of COVID. The federal government has loosened up money. We received over $1 million in ARPA money that we used to help fund police, and the residual savings we got from that dropped to the bottom line, we put back in. We bought some new vehicles. Got a new street sweeper, some new police cars. So we are investing in our infrastructure, all the things that we need besides parks. So a community of 9,000, maybe 3,000 taxpayers or less, it's a challenge to fund a lot of infrastructure. So that's where we are. So knowing that the dam has been in disrepair for many years now, I would be derelict in my duties if I didn't put my foot down from this council and say, you're going to need to make a decision on the dam. Whatever we do with the property, whether we keep it or not, that dam is a liability. There's problems with it, and we need to have an engineer look at it. councils in the past thought, you know what? We're not gonna spend money on it because it's gonna be a lot of money. Why don't we look at somebody who's interested in keeping it as a park? So that was the discussion. The little surprise we had at the last meeting was somebody threw in there, well, maybe we should look at selling it. But that's, I know you want us to slow down, and we are. We're going to look at, do some more due diligence on that, and maybe talk about right now, engaging with maybe an engineer to take a look at that data and see what it would be, what it cost it. Because if you're gonna sell it, you're gonna transfer it to somebody for $1, or you're gonna keep it. You gotta know what that's gonna be. And that's where I think we need to start. And then the next cost is, the boat commission would like us to dredge it. But we were told they could come up with half the cost of dredging, not all of it. We'd have to pick up the other half. We pretty much have all the grant money that we received recently, and the savings we did, earmarked for other things. We put, I think, $150,000 of the ARPA money into security because of damage to our parks. There are security cameras now at that new Oak Hills Park and Huffer Park. And they're tied in to our infrastructure. We can see them remotely, and we can get nighttime and color pictures. There's much more to do here in Middletown. We'd like to do much more, but there's a lot of people, that would like to see different things. So we engaged in a study called a PROS plan. This PROS plan is just about complete. It was about a $50,000 project, $40,000 project. We engaged an engineer. We've engaged the community. We were out to Middletown High School at basketball games this
Winter.
And we were talking to the kids. We were getting the right things down. Where do we put, if our dollars are limited going forward, where's the best place to put them? And we gave them all the suggestions, anything from the pool to a spray park to what do you want? And some of the, and when we talk about walking trails and stuff, 60-some% of the people, adults and children, are interested in walking trails. So those are the things you're going to hear more. But the reservoir, we do have to step back and see what our options are. But you have to know when they say there's money available, there always co-pays. You have to split the difference when you get a grant. We only got 50% of the grant for Huffer Park, but we went to another source, DCD, and they paid the other part of the grant. A lot of places, when you get a grant, they want your own money in. So most of the parks grants only give you 50%, and you have to come up with the other 50%. But when that dam was repaired, when the Middletown Borough Authority owned it, they had a different source of revenue. They had utility revenue from people paying their water and sewer bills to pay to fix that dam. We don't have that revenue anymore. When that operation was outsourced, that revenue is now going to the people who are running it, not us. So that was a little extra golden hen that we had back in the day. We don't have it anymore. Okay, so things are a little bit more challenging. I expect the grant monies, now that the ARPA funds and COVID's over, the grant funds are going to start to dry up. And it's going to be tough to get them. So we have to be very careful how we spend our money and how much can we keep. How much can we keep? So that's going to be the question on the reservoir going forward. We won't make any decisions tonight, but council, jump in if you want to give your thoughts on what's going on with that. I know it sounded like we were going to act quick.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Of course.
I think what's really driving me is that we don't even really know what the number is. We don't know if our half of the 50% is 50,000 or 5 million because the total project's 10. And without that number, without that due diligence, to be speaking about possibly selling it,
Right.
just seems premature.
Yeah. And that's exactly where we ended up.
That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to ask
Yeah.
earlier when I was.
Yeah. You made a good point earlier, you really did. And when you take a moment, as some of us did, and look back at the meeting, because sometimes when you're up here, you still understand the meeting better if you watch it again.
Right.
And when we were here, if you tease it out, there were really almost 3 ideas floating around. Now, the selling might have sounded as if it was the one that was had the most traction, and I grant, indeed. But then, upon further consideration, we have come to realize that the public money available to fix the dam would not be available to us possibly if we sold it. And the dam is a major issue on the, it's a unique characteristic of that property. And so we've got these three scenarios that we have decided, to your point, need more information. So we really are not in a position to make a decision about the reservoir, but we are in a position to say, what are the ideas we'd like to know more about? Because that public money is an amazing gift, and it won't be here forever. Therefore, there is a little bit of time sensitivity to our conversations. And so the scenarios that we've teased out of last meeting are, yes, selling it, but understanding how attractive is it really. It has some unique characteristics to that property. Second, someone, I think it was President Renninger, said, would some of it remain as recreation, and would the rest of the land possibly be land for us to do a solar project? Because a solar project is in our future. We are interested in a solar project to keep electric rates manageable and reasonable for the residents. And the third issue is, as you have indicated, directing staff to go back to a conversation with Londonderry, because now we are interested in what would a partnership look like? What are the benefits to everybody through a partnership? And so tonight we are directing our solicitor to bring back some more of the nuances of that property relative to selling it. It looked last week as if we might just stick a for sale sign out on the end of the, but it's a public, it's our property, so
Sure.
it has a different kind of process that we must follow. Secondly, our electric department is going to get in touch with an engineer who can look at part of that parcel and just imagine, what would a solar project look like for the borough? How much acreage do we need to generate enough electricity to save money for the residents?
Sure.
And how expensive is a solar project to bring electricity from that location into the borough? So you can see, again,
Right.
lots more information. And third, we're going to direct the staff to take another meeting with Londonderry and say, partnership, let's talk more. What are the details of that? And only when we have enough information on those three scenarios that were raised up last week will we be able to come back as a council and make a real decision. Last week, or the last meeting, was maybe we possibly were thinking thoughts, but realizing we need more information.
Well, I certainly
So we
appreciate
appreciate all of you coming tonight and participating. It's lonely some meetings when we're the only ones here. So, thank you.
One more thing about grants, okay? Just so everybody understands how that works. If we're not sure we're going to keep something and we're not sure we're going to do, there isn't anybody in any of these state or federal agencies who are going to say, I can give you X amount of dollars, okay? You have to decide, we're going to keep it and we're going to fix it. And then you apply for the grant. And then 6 months to a year later, you find out what you're getting. And it may fall well short of what you need to fix it. And then you have to turn it back in if you're not gonna set beyond the money. And that always looks bad when you turn grant money back. Politicians at the state, federal government don't like when that happens. They don't go to bat for you again. So you really have to be committed before you apply for a grant. And there's no guarantee what you're going to get.
And I think we would be correct in leaning on the experience that you guys have in that arena. I'm pretty sure that Representative Mahaffrey is the chairman of, he's the chairman of and forgive me and don't quote me exactly, but it has something to do with recreation and parks and things of that nature. And as the chairman, he gets to decide which way that's going and what they talk about. And if he's an ally of ours, then I think it's important for us to do our due diligence, to know whether this project is gonna cost $5 million, it's not even possible, let's proceed to the
Mhm.
next course of action. Or, it's 50,000 and maybe we have to become creative
Right,
in order to,
right.
find that revenue. And I'm sure there's about 2 cents in the find revenue, pile versus, what is needed. But I think without the numbers of what we're talking about and without the exact expertise associated with how bad the dam is, how long it could hold or it won't hold up, I think exploring what we can do
Right.
is in our best interest. It's the
Yeah.
Middletown Borough. It doesn't
Yeah.
say the Londonderry Township Borough, or it doesn't say it's the Middletown Reservoir. I think about positive things that the reservoir, even though it's not in our borough limits, it still has an opportunity to provide public awareness in a positive light.
Mhm.
Just as there are things that are inside our control.
That's
that may
right.
not
That's right.
shed a good light on it.
Thank you, Mr. Stigler.
Thank you.
We do appreciate your group every time you come before us. And I do want to take a moment to commend all of you. Every time you come, you are respectful, you are civil, you are patient, and most importantly for us, you are informed about the issue that you are discussing with us. And we do appreciate that.
I have one more question, if I may. In the last meeting, there was a mention of some sort of, was it EG credits that somebody on the board?
MS4.
MS4, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you, just give me a quick layman's term of what an MS4 credit is?
Ken, would you?
MS4 stands
Keep it
for,
simple.
Yeah.
it's another federal legislative requirement on communities to remove sediment out of your stormwater pipes that are discharging to the river or to the creek. It all has to do with the impaired Chesapeake Bay.
Right.
They put new permits, like wastewater plants have permits from the state to remove certain contaminants before it can go to the river. They now move to doing it with stormwater because too much sediment and runoff from farms of nitrogen get to the bay. So now we have to, as a local municipality, monitor those discharges in our community. And each year, or every so many 4 years, when a permit is renewed, the state will come out and say, here's how many more pounds you need to remove from your system.
Mm-hmm.
And by partnering with Londonderry and many other municipalities, we recently partnered with East Hanover, West Hanover, South Hanover, Londonderry, Lower Swadara, Hummelstown. We all partnered in the county rep program, which is all of our money is going. What we had designated to build impoundments in Middletown at the end of our stormwater pipes, what they call drain basins. So you've seen these water basins. We've all pulled our money together with the county, and we're putting it into the project down in, like I said,
Kenoi.
Kenoi,
Mhm.
on the border there.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody knows where that Kenoi Trail is, that rail trail is,
Okay, yep.
it's that little stream along there that they're going to improve, put sedimentation traps in, and we're getting credits for 80,000 pounds we're supposed to remove from Middletown. But we're removing them there by putting our money out there. That's the credits.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. I just heard the term last meeting and I wasn't sure what it meant.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Any other comments from council on the direction of those three scenarios and coming back with more information?
I like where we're at right now. I think I had time to reflect as well, and I think we were jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit. Yeah, so I think we're in a good spot. I like how you verbalized that, Ellen, and I just want to kind of say what Ellen already said, but really appreciate you guys coming out, everybody.
Yeah.
It means a lot, and for the people who think like, what does it matter if I come in front of them? They don't listen to me. Like it matters to me. Like it definitely does help me understand a little bit better what our residents want.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate it.
Thank you. Counselor Lister, thank you very much.
Yep.
Anyone else? Agenda item number 8, the mutual aid agreement.
Do I have a motion to direct the council vice president to sign the mutual aid agreement between the Susquehanna Area Regional Airport Authority and Middletown Borough for fire services?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. To end the meeting, is there any general public comment?
Jack Still. I mentioned this before. I think these are really, really vague. You have a
Mhm.
woman come up about the resignation for somebody on council. You know, couldn't you at least put on here resignation fit PD or something?
Yeah, we'll do that, thank you.
And, like, the MSD, school district Raider packs. Well, I wrote a note on here, they're bagged lunches,
Right, yeah.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Still. Any other general public comment? Seeing none, we will be, oh, pardon me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Pastor Florence Abdullah, 24 Cottonwood Building. I'm here tonight because I was one of the people who had helped establish to save the Middletown pool. And I come back again today because I feel like, I just felt like you guys did your very best to keep the pool. I felt like you were more interested in keeping the Middletown Swim Club, us being a part of that group, instead of keeping this pool here. And because you are public servants, I felt as though you just didn't do your best.
Mhm.
I'm here tonight because I'm disappointed, because I grew up in the First Ward, and that means a lot to me having that pool there because kids could walk to the pool, and to me there is a need for the pool. Yes, we have 2 pools, but the private pool, they have issues just like we do down here in the community pool as well. They have financial issues, they have maintenance issues as well. So I just want you guys to maybe reconsider about keeping the pool. Personally, I have been very proud of the fact that in my community, I had a theater I could go to
Mhm.
and a public pool, okay? That meant a lot to me. But it seems like we just keep losing resources after resources in this community. So it's very, very disappointing. So I just want you guys to reconsider, you know. I know you voted on it to let it go, but I felt like you could have also had Middletown Borough employees. They could have maybe been trained, you know, to put the chemicals in the pool. I just found that there could have been maybe some better solutions, but I just think that you guys just didn't want to be bothered with it. I couldn't understand how we even got there, you know, as far as being in a deficit. And my question was, too, well, how did we get here? And I asked because I didn't want to be going forward and didn't know what happened in the past. But I'm told, well, there's no records. How could there not be any records? So I just want you guys to just do your best and try to keep the pool here. These kids need it. It was affordable for the kids in the community. And some kids, they just can't walk all the way up to, you know, North Union Street. They don't have transportation. But again, I'm also hoping that the reservoir will be kept as well because, again, something that could be lost. But if we could just maybe just all come together, you know, sit down together, even with these men here, maybe have another conversation just with them, you know what I mean, to find out everything, instead of just maybe something public here, but maybe even get together even with us again because
Right.
I just feel as though it's needed. So
Yeah.
I'm just asking you guys, I mean, you really think you did your best to keep it, you know?
Well, what it did was prompt us to, as Borough Manager Klein Peter mentioned, to embark on a master plan for all parks and recreation, which included the pool, because we came to the conclusion that those spaces for kids, not just the pool, which is a few months out of the year, but all of the parks in Middletown are open for kids, and maybe we could do better in all those areas. So the plan that we embarked on will be available We're hoping early fall. It's in the final stages. It would be presented at a public meeting. It would be then available on the website. It looks at all of our 7 parks, as well as all the green spaces that were created in the FEMA areas down by Fry and down along the river. Part of that was to sort of pull the pool out. And so we've already engaged with an engineer to do a study of that pool, look at it as a facility. What are our options there? It became a priority, if you will, out of the plan. You will hear more about that, but since you asked, we certainly wanted to share that information with you now.
Well, I also felt like in us establishing that group that we were kind of like being undermined, where from somebody on your board I was telling people not to give us money, and I thought, really? That's not cool at all.
Well, Pastor Abdullah, I mean, I'd be willing to sit down with you at some time, even privately, and talk more, because there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle with the pool. And it wasn't just money. It was, it started with, where's the records, you mentioned.
Exactly.
If you go back to, what was it, Jenny, 2016 or 17, prior to that, the pool was not operated by the borough of Middletown.
I understood that, right.
Although we owned it,
Right.
like we still own the wastewater plant, somebody else operated. It was operated by the Olmsted Recreation Board,
Exactly.
which is a different government agency. They hired their own person to run that pool for years.
Right.
And when that went away, and they formed a new recreation association called
Mara, right.
every community other than Middletown, school district, Lower Sparrow, and Rob said we want nothing to do with that pool,
Right.
and we will not form a new recreational alliance with these communities if that pool's part of it. So it got pulled out of that plan, and if we wanted to keep the pool, we said we're gonna have to operate it ourselves.
Right.
So we scrambled, we hired some of the people who used to work for Mara in the past, but we were walking around in the dark a little bit, and relying on their historical knowledge to how to run it. Borough staff, public works guys who plow snow, they knew nothing about that pool, right? In fact, I knew more about the chemical feed pumps down there when we ran our own water and wastewater system, which I directed for years. I would go and assist Olmsted Rec Board with fixing the pumps and the chemical feed, which is a science all on its own, and it takes some technology. And then COVID hit.
Right.
That shut the pool down. We ran it, I think, 1 year as a borough. When COVID hit, we had to shut down. When it was time that we could possibly start back up, the people who worked there, or some of our key people who knew how to had the certifications to run a pool, didn't want to do it. We couldn't find anybody. There were suggestions, I know somebody will do it. We advertised, but people that applied did not have the certifications needed that the state said you need.
And I remember that, but you
And
still could have hired your employees to do it. I mean, your employees could have done it, couldn't they?
We,
You have borough employees
not
who
our
could have done.
employees. You can't force existing employees in our union to learn a new job like that. It takes a certification. We could hire somebody, and that's
Okay.
what we were trying
That's
to
what
do.
you were trying to do at the time. I
We were
remember that, right.
advertising, and we didn't get any qualified candidates.
Okay.
So when we didn't get any qualified candidates, I said to Matt Miller, my public works guy, what's our next step? We looked for a contractor who would operate. And that's
Remember
when we got
that.
a quote.
Right.
And that quote was post-COVID, like 2 years removed, when everything was skyrocketing. Chlorine chemicals tripled at that time.
Right.
And all the other chemicals tripled. And when we got the budget, the proposal from the contractor out of Maryland, the only place we could find one, people in Philly went and do it, there wasn't anybody local. The price came in was astronomical. It was twice of what we paid employees to run it this season.
Right.
Something like 145, but that was their minimum. They said, for anything we do, we're gonna bill you additional, and that doesn't include the chemicals that you're gonna have to purchase. We'll
Sure.
bill you those. So, just being a private pool owner at the time, I saw what was happening with buying chemicals from my private pool. Pre-COVID, the same 5-gallon bucket from pre-COVID to this year has gone up 5 times. So that's what becomes a problem with a park system where now it used to be expensive, now it's super expensive to run an operating pool and because you have to also pay for water testing every week. And we found through our investigation, a lot of things weren't getting done. And I said, under my watch, we're not skipping those things.
Right,
We have to do that
okay,
to keep people safe.
exactly.
So that's why, we looked at it as whole, it was probably gonna cost us $250,000 to run it for one summer.
Mhm.
That's a whole million over.
If you would have hired that company, you're saying, it would have cost you
Yeah,
that fee, right?
Yeah, so council decided we
Mhm.
can't do that. And now we're at a point where we haven't another budget since, and they haven't, agreed to go back and fund that, because talk started about, what can we put down there that kids in town would really like, that wouldn't cost us an arm and a leg to operate every year? I mean, even if we have to spend some good money to swap it to something else, whether it's a splash pad, an outdoor exercise facility, a place for America can have movies for kids and different things. Let's look at all those options before we dive in. So that's what Alan's talking about with the pros plan. We're gonna get deeper into the weeds with this pool, with the new program that we're gonna have another study we're gonna kick off here in the next couple of weeks. And it's gonna require us to have public meetings with you all, to come in and talk, listen to what we're finding out, what our engineers, our consultants are finding, and hear what you have to say, and talk about it before we can, move forward with that.
Well, I think also it didn't look right among you all because the fact that, I remember that night when Kay Willen had asked if anybody on your board belonged to that private club, and nobody said anything at all. Then we find out that the mayor belonged to the group, and also Ian did as well. So to me, I'm like, well, why did they vote, But anyway, it is what it is, though, but it just didn't look right. We felt as though, because they belonged to that private club,
I
is that what
can't
they're pushing
imagine
so
that
hard?
Ian belongs to that private
No.
club, he has a swimming pool.
Yeah, he has his own pool.
I don't
No.
think that's accurate at all, either the,
But what about
I
the
don't know where
mayor?
you're getting that information.
The mayor doesn't vote.
But he was pushing hard to make sure that we went toward, not having a pool.
I think
Community
we saw
pool.
people pushing hard, it was about the money. It
Yeah.
wasn't about their personal preferences, it was about the money.
So you're also saying that you cannot, have your employees actually put chemicals in that pool then,
Well, you
going
gotta
forward?
go send somebody to get certified. You
Okay,
have to
but
hire
that was my concern. Why couldn't you do that,
Our
though?
employees now, employees we have that are trained to do
Mhm.
backhoe work and drive dump trucks,
Yeah,
they don't know anything about pools.
right,
So
right,
if we were going to run it ourselves, our employees, we'd have to advertise
right,
and see if we can get somebody who's trained, has the certifications to run a pool. It's not just certifications that add chemicals, that's a certification that you get through the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture to operate a pool.
mhm,
And there are rules with how many lifeguards you have to have per
right,
surface area of the pool, when you have to close it down, when there's incidents, and there also have to be certified in the child safety, they have to have lifeguard training, they have to have certified in taking water samples.
okay,
So
right.
there's a lot to it.
A lot to it, I understand that.
Wasn't there 20 years ago with pools,
Mhm.
or maybe even 10 years ago. And these are things that Matt and I learned when we had to dig into this, because we couldn't find, the old employees didn't want to do it.
Right.
One got the certification, and we were scrambling to find somebody. So, we ran out of time that first year, we just didn't have it. And
Yeah,
then contractor was, when we finally got that in at the last minute, it was just so expensive. Council said, we don't have a budget, so we didn't open it. So now, we're gonna have, I'm pretty sure we can probably get new costs for that pool, but it's all gonna be in this study, because
right,
knowing what we know, and we want you all to be able to talk and give us your opinion. I know everybody loves a pool, but if you look at other communities, they're closing down. A lot of them are closing down because, number one, the ones that are staying open, you have stayed alive with volunteer help. Not the one who runs it, the certification, but lifeguards. People come in and volunteer to do the concession stand, volunteer to be lifeguards and go get the training.
well, I'm glad you went there, because I personally am retired, and I will be willing to come down there and do some volunteer work. We thought we had some options for you guys, but when we came back to make a presentation, it seemed you guys already had your mind made up, because you went to see about the outside company,
Because
maybe running
the
the pool.
volunteer is one part of it. Okay?
Mhm.
We're not gonna get somebody volunteer with certification. The last time.
Oh, that, I understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
We're
no,
talking about
yeah,
another
I get that,
employee
yeah.
that we're probably gonna have to pay, I think we were looking at $50,000-$60,000 plus benefits
Mhm.
to run it for 4 months, and then employ them somewhere else year-round.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, I get that.
And the chemical cost, the electrical cost, the water cost, You know, next, I think in 2 years, Middletown has to pay Veolia for our water. We
Yeah.
won't get it free anymore.
Yeah.
And, taking it down, cleaning it every year, labor, pump repair, there's a lot there. So
There is, yeah.
everybody has to understand, and when we get our consultants in here, we'll talk about the expense, but I think the challenge is gonna be, is there something else the community thinks would be maybe just as unique that children and adults would like,
Mhm.
that isn't the pool? That would be part of the discussion as well as keeping the pool.
Okay.
Counselor Seitz?
Well, thank you for your time.
Oh,
Well, I was gonna add about the lifeguards, but then, for me, the reason I voted against it originally was, spending $250,000 for a pool that could be used at best 3 months out of the year, at best. That's not including,
Well, look how you put all that money into a park that's a flood zone.
and that is,
flood zone.
that is a valid point, but that
So
park,
for me, it's hard for me to hear what you're saying because you took all that money and
that
put
park
out in
can
a
be
in a flood
utilized
zone. No.
360.
I know it's used though, yeah, I know.
I mean, it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be, but it can be
It's just
used
hard to comprehend.
365 days a year.
Well, not every day.
It could be.
Cost somebody stationed there to operate it.
Yeah.
mhm.
It could be used 365 days a year. The pool, weather permitting, can be used for 3 months out of the year. Again, that's weather permitting. If it's 70 degrees, I'm sure it's not going to be, utilized. And that was part of my reason voting against it. And then, like Mr. Kleinpier said, you look all over, pools are closing everywhere. I looked at it as, we have 2 pools. If we continue to operate with 2 pools, we're going to have 0 pools.
Well, they have issues too up there that they're in.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
that's-
that's a valid point.
Mhm.
So they have issues, we had issues.
Right.
And if we continue to run 2 pools, fight against each other for clients,
Mhm.
I don't think we're fighting for clients though. That's a
you,
private club.
you would be.
yeah.
You'd end up with 0.
No, our group.
Still private.
Well, correct, it is. But
I don't want to speak for them, but.
no, you are correct.
I don't do
Correct. But you'd end up fighting, and then if you end up with 0 pools,
Yeah.
everyone would be upset.
But I
And that
just felt
was
as
the
though
reasons I voted
We
against.
personally didn't think that you had to go that way to the other company because we thought we had some pretty good resolutions to help where you didn't have to hire that outside company to run the pool. We were even going to get people to help volunteer to pay for memberships. We were going to do whatever we could to help keep that pool open. Just like these guys back here want to do whatever they can to keep that reservoir. So that's all I'm basically saying.
You know, may I just take a moment? That was an offer that was before council during those conversations of what can we do to save the pool. But I just want to say for the record that that group that formed never did come back to council with any solutions, any funding,
Yeah, there was a
any
nonprofit
ideas.
group that was set up
That's
that
a
promised
group.
to bring
You talking about our
money.
group? I must
Well-
be another group.
Yeah, no, there was a whole group, there was.
I don't even know who was the lead
Yeah,
of the
it was an
group.
What are you
association.
talking about? That wasn't our group. That's not true. We had a lot of resolutions.
Well, we would have to check the records because I'm not sure, it has been a long time,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure there was
What's
any
done?
proposal back to council that a community group was going to, like, take hold.
And let's not get
Oh, I'm not,
lost
yeah.
in the minutia
should
of,
probably.
the main focus here has got to be for everybody, us and you folks, it's going to be, what's it cost to run annually?
Yeah.
And what's it cost to fix it? And, how much with volunteers, how much cost would they eliminate?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things we're going to have to look at
Okay,
when we
yeah.
do this study. We'll talk some more about it.
Mhm.
But I don't think we should argue about who said what when and who
Well,
didn't do what, but.
I
there's a real
don't think we're
problem with us.
arguing, we're
We
just
didn't have the money.
disagreeing, but not
We
arguing.
didn't have the money for it.
I thought you guys did have the money, 'cause I thought at that meeting you had $12 million that night. I think the report was you had $12 million
No, I'm talking about
for the pool?
Here.
Not just for the pool, but you had $12 million in the budget.
each year, we put money into an operating budget. We earmark what it's for. Public Works might say have $12,000 for salt, to salt roads.
Yeah, I know how budgets run. I
So
understand.
Yeah.
each year, then we would
Yeah.
put so much money in for a pool, how much to run.
Right.
If we had $80,000.
80,000, I remember that number, yeah.
And when the contractor came in with 140 as a minimum, plus you pay for the chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean we didn't have the money, it's in the budget. The council has reserve funds
Mm-hmm.
that are set aside for disasters, or for capital funds for equipment replacement.
Mhm.
Um, trust funds for our electric, system, but we don't have money set aside to operate that pool at this point. It's not, so even though you might have a savings account,
Mhm.
and you have a checking account, and just say you have $10,000 in your checking account, you have $5,000 in your savings, you have a plan for maybe how you're gonna spend that checking
sure.
account. And you know, your savings is sitting there, and you say, okay, I need another $1,000 for something out of my checking account. Do I go into the savings or not? And you don't spend it till your council until they actually move the money and everybody approves it. But that would only be, you see, the savings account doesn't get refilled automatically. That's a reserve fund. And if you open a pool, you got every year you can spend that
Every
money.
year.
So it's gotta come out of our revenue, which is our tax money. Okay? Because however you're gonna sell it and market it, for people to come and buy a membership at pool, it will never approach even $80,000. We've seen that, what you get.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
So we'll be getting back to that for sure.
well,
it- Maybe this is a reminder, we can bring back the financials if it's been a while and people are a little hazy on the numbers, we can go over them again or wait for the study to come back with more updated numbers. But it is about numbers. On some level, it's just got to be our fiduciary responsibility, yeah.
okay, well, thank you very much for the time that you gave me. I really appreciate it. Thank
You bet, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Danette Roy, 166 Wilson Street, and I too would like the council to revisit the recreational opportunities as a whole, not just the pool, but the pool, the reservoir, all of our parks. And I understand there's a cost benefit, but you also have to realize that we're not serving you or the community if we don't also provide recreational opportunities.
Right.
And it's not just for the people who can drive there, it should be for everyone, people who can come into our community, pay to utilize our facilities,
Mhm.
and the people who live here. I would like for the borough to also, when you look at the figures, look to see what else is available as far as grants and partnerships. I know that Penn State partnerships, Hershey Med partnerships, and possibly UPMC would partnership with our community to provide swim lessons, exercise,
about the pool.
water aerobics, and different things like that. And these could possibly be annual investments if we offer programs, and we could have volunteers come in and teach seniors and children how to swim, and they would pay to have their programs at our pool. So again, my name is Danette, and I thank you for revisiting the recreational opportunities for our borough. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I just want a point of clarification, because that community pool was very near and dear to my heart, okay, because of where I live, and I live in the, I'm a life, born and raised here, I live in the first ward, and it just appeared to me that things that are in the first ward are not being looked at wholly, as a whole, because that community pool just didn't, service or was there for the first ward. It was for the whole community, and if you chose to go there, fine. But at least it was there. It was for the community. And there was a committee, and there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into that committee. And they did a lengthy look at what we could do as residents of the community to help save that pool.
Mhm.
And there was plans that was written. There was even had gone to possibly help with doing job descriptions for people to run it. there was money from the committee, in fact, one individual that footed money to make it a nonprofit
Mm-hmm,
committee.
mm-hmm.
So that's my point of clarification. I
Mhm.
don't want to be disrespectful
No, I know
or whatever, but I know this council, it seemed like they had their mind made up. They didn't even want to see what the plan was. Because we had a group of people here to speak on the behalf, and there was a young gentleman that did,
Mm-hmm.
and then, he extended out saying, whatever you need from us, we have a plan, and no one got back to him or the committee asking for, what we did, the work that we did, because I was part of that committee.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you. That's
Thank
the
you.
point, and for your viewers who might be watching this, because I don't want the public, and also, it was led to believe that if that pool would have remained open, that our taxes would go up. And that's why a lot of community people came back and said, well, they don't want their taxes to go up. And the
Mm-hmm.
taxes went up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The other thing is that I'm hearing that, and I know hearsay, but I'm hearing that our taxes are going to go up again. So I don't want anybody to think that
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the community pool or recreation kind of stuff, because if you do away with the pool, it's going to cost money.
Then, as respectfully, I will make a point of clarification too, relative to taxes. This coming year going up, that is clearly hearsay, because we haven't even started the budget process here at the borough. So we do not have numbers for next fiscal year. That is hearsay. I would say that's hearsay. Yeah.
Martha Black, 134 North Union Street, Middletown. Just to switch gears a little bit, and I thank you for all this good listening tonight and the respectful dialogue. I wanted to mention to council to please look into the Coltmont Clean Air Ordinance again. It's an excellent ordinance, and it was adapted for our town already. So it would be simple just to look at it and begin enacting it. I hope it will come up before council soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Pardon me?
My name is Phyllis Dew. Phyllis Dew from here in Middletown. And I've always been a little bit different from other people. Somewhat of a grassroots person. Did social work for over 41 years. Worked specifically with children and their family. And it makes my heart ache that a council can sit and say the children will only swim for 3 months. But that's a break time for the children. And these children are our future.
Mm-hmm.
That's careless.
Well, if your heart aches, let me recommend you go down to Little Middletown and watch what's going on there. It's beautiful. The children who are playing there are from Middletown, from outside the community. It has been a wonderful addition to our park system that we have found a lot of joy in the work and the funds that went into it. So if your heart aches, please go down to Little Middletown. It's beautiful, Phyllis. It's beautiful what's going on down there.
And my response to that is it was a 91 today. And no matter how much fun they were having, they would have felt better.
Yeah, it was warm.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. Good to see you.
This is my last time. I'm Whittle. I have questions. I always have questions because I'm really like not a towner as everybody thinks. But I've been here for a long time. What is Little Middletown? That's my first question.
Oh, that's the name of the new park, the new playground system at Huffer Park.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I live right across the street, down the alley. I'm on Market Street. I've already learned since I've been here, after you cross Ann Street, things change. So that little park back there, Colston Park, did they forget to do something to that? Because the same 2 benches and the kids only got 1 little basketball court, I think, but I'm not sure. Is that on our list to do something for that park? 'Cause there are a lot of kids that cut
It is.
through our yard that go to that park down there.
I am truly hoping that the night that the PROS plan, PRO means Park, Recreation, and Open Spaces, I'm sorry for the acronym, I truly hope that if you keep an eye on our agenda, and Jack, it'll be a little more detailed, that when you see the public presentation of that plan, I hope that it's a night that you'll be able to come. I really do.
That's the other question. Now, are you guys meeting on Wednesdays regularly now, or are you back to Mondays? 'Cause see,
No, we're still, as we have been all year, the first and third Tuesday. The reason it's Wednesday tonight is the holiday was yesterday.
okay.
And I think you shared with us before that your scheduling is
Meetings
such
and
that,
things.
yeah,
So it's the
yeah.
first and the third.
First and third Tuesday, same time, 7
Which is more
o'clock.
important, when you discuss business, every first and third, or is this one for the public and one for you guys?
Nope,
It's everybody.
everybody, first and third.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is the last time I get up.
That's okay. Wait,
Swear to God.
I'm sorry,
wasn't
it's
even
dark.
planning
Do
on
you
talking
mind
about-
turning the lights on? It looks like
Yeah,
we're sort
I
of.
wasn't even planning on talking about the pool, but since it's on the agenda,
Whew.
and I'm not pro or against either
Mhm.
either way. I just wanted to share with you guys. 34 years ago, I met a bony girl from Rolton. Married her, been married 27 years, and raised 2 adult children in this town at that pool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you to. I get what limited resources
Yeah.
and how difficult it is, but it was a place in this town that we met,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a place that we still call home, and we never left. The pool provided that. So whatever we go with, as
Mm-hmm.
long as it can provide something of that nature,
Yeah.
I don't see how we can make a
I
wrong
know.
choice
Right.
as long as we can afford it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Alyssa Noon. Excuse me, I'm in my work shirt.
That's okay. No, no. Hi, Alyssa.
But I actually used to work at the Middletown Pool
Mm-hmm.
19 years ago. Yeah, it might look young. 31 years of age. Have 3 children, 13, 4, and 2. Now, my 13-year-old wasn't even really capable of experiencing the pool from back in '09 when you guys were sitting there fixing the pool and decided to place all those little floaties inside of the pool. But to get rid of the pool and not have anything for the community, just as well as with the Elks, I don't know much about the Middletown Reservoir, just as well as with, you know, anything that it was that Olmsted did actually have going on. Because I remember I did also sit there and help with the youth club with drill team. I also used to sit there and end up doing with Pastor Abdullah so far as on with their church.
Mm-hmm.
But with being down at the Middletown Pool, it gave the Middletown residents, along with, you know, the children, a place to be able to go to work. That was my first workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So 14 years of age, being able to sign for child labor laws, you know, I was capable of working there as my
Right.
first job. You know, it gives the kids something to be able to look forward to. Okay, this is my first job. You know, I could sit there and end up branching from here to be able to go further on so far as with anything else. And I worked at a lot of places in the neighborhood. I don't know if you know. Worked at Carnes, worked at Hardee's. You know, I've been everywhere inside of this community. 31 years and I never left as well. But, you know, to give the kids a place to be able to walk to. I lived on Nisley Street for 17 years. Used to walk from there to go to work. Underneath the underpass, go past Wesley's church, I'm at the pool. You know, and I did hear that you stated, Mr. Klein-Peter, that you stated that there was words that was given or, you know, that you were looking forward to any type of occupationals that would be able to work down there between, you know, lifeguards, such and such, you know, to be able to sit there and end up helping, to be able to sit there and end up keeping the pool running. Well, back in my time, I don't know if it changed. I know you were capable of going down to Hershey to be able to sit there and end up getting certified to be a lifeguard. You know, I had family members that also, you know, being a Middletown alumni that sat there and ended up working at the pool as their first job, even, you know, pursuing it summers later. You know, they were sat there and ended up getting certified to be able to be lifeguards. I actually was the staff for the open gate and also the snack bar. Now, if it was actually given up as an opportunity for anybody inside of the community or the neighborhood to be able to sit there and work, you know, I would have been one to sit there and end up going down. You know, I would have been the one to sit there and end up saying, you know, hey, I'll work snack bar. I'll even sit there and end up making a menu to where it would be, you know, between gluten-free, or to even sit there and end up being to where, you know, if this is something that it is that the community would like to eat, you know, okay, place this on the board and be able to give it, you know,
Right.
a heads up notice if it would be okay. And it wouldn't be a problem or issue, but no one in the community actually was given, you know, a heads up notice. And if it was, I possibly didn't see it in the paper.
Maybe that's
a
it.
head flyer.
Yeah.
You know,
It was out for months. All I can say is we did promote it for months.
For a full director, because that's what you have to start with. That's the person that's to be certified to run it. When you can't get that, you can't hire lifeguards and put them down there without a certified director.
But how long was the certification or the ad basically placed?
Oh, months and months.
And it just was given up upon?
Calling people, we were calling other.
But it was given up upon, so where like no one in the community would have possibly stepped forward to say, you know, hey, I'll try to go get certified?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
thought I would sit there and end up asking, because that, like I said, was the
Yeah.
certifications for, you know, being a lifeguard or anything like that. That's why I said,
It was
where
the
was
point,
it placed
yeah.
at?
That was the key person missing.
Facebook and
Yeah.
Indeed?
Yeah, and some other places, yeah.
And what year was that, sir?
Oh, I don't know, I'd have to look, you know. Probably was 2018, it was after COVID, 18 or 19.
Before
No.
COVID?
No,
Mm-mm.
after COVID, COVID shut it down for the first year. We ran it
It was the spring of 21,
COVID shut it down, I think, in 18, or when was COVID, 18 and
20.
No, COVID
So it was
closed.
21 we advertised.
Yeah.
Okay, because we were.
Well, keep your eye open if there's any of, you know, we don't know what opportunities are going to come up. But it's always good to hear from you and from all of you how much you love this community, how your lives are rooted in here, your memories, your families. That's no small matter. I know you look at us like we're just, I'm not sure how you look at us,
No, we
but
don't look
this
at you-
job is sometimes harder than it looks.
We
And
don't
so
look at
when
you
all of you
wrong.
come and remind us how much this community means to all of you, it's really helpful to us. It really is.
Yeah, we
It's
don't-
no small
We
thing.
don't look at you like you're wrong or like you're not trying your best, but it's more so just trying to see what
Understand, yeah,
everyone's opinions
Yeah.
and what it is that we could sit there and end up doing and try to give the youth more
yeah.
than what it is that we obviously, my age,
Right.
taken away from us and be able to give
It
that
feels,
back.
yes, yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
'Cause,
There's no
you know,
doubt that's how it would
I did
feel.
hear you say something about Little Middletown with that being Harper's Park, you know, you also have, if no one hasn't even possibly noticed that, there's actually age limitations on certain items that's out there, you know, between 2 years old for swing, 4 and above. My son's 6 foot tall. He doesn't look like he's going to be big enough to be able to swing on that swing.
Yeah. Let me just say one more thing. We are aware that we have given a priority in our park system of late to younger kids. The Huffer Park system, the Huffer Park improvement is for younger kids.
Absolutely.
So is Little Middletown.
Yeah.
And so when the committee, and it's a community-based committee on the PROS plan, I keep harping on the PROS plan, but it truly is what we've spent months on, looking globally at all that's in town and how much better it could be. And in fact, the community group for the PROS plan will be welcoming anyone who'd like to join, because what we now have is a plan. What we are going to have to do in the next step is make priorities and figure out how to make it happen. But already, the committee has said it may be time to make a priority for older kids. The younger kids, and I'm not saying you can ever do enough for children, but in the limited space and with the limited
It's
resources,
for the younger.
we have done good things for the younger ones. We realize that your 2 older children are the population of kids in our
The
community
fortunate.
for whom we need maybe to take some real hard look at what recreation opportunities for them. I'm not making promises, I'm just sharing.
Absolutely.
And if that is of interest to anyone in this group on the night the plan comes, there will be an invitation to join the community group, because that is where we're going to make priorities and decisions. So really, thank you. I know you're a busy woman if you have 3 children, but if the community group is something that you think you could participate in, that would be great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Anna. I live on East Main Street and North Ray Street, and traffic does not stop. Somebody's gonna end up getting hit there.
Race and
I'm on
Main.
North Ray Street and East Main Street, and JJ's Restaurant's right across the street.
Yeah.
That, people don't wanna stop.
At the stop sign off of Ray Street?
No, that corner by Race and Main Street, right at the corner.
For pedestrians.
Yes, they don't wanna stop. And somebody's gonna end up getting hit. And if I get hit, I'm gonna.
You know, at 2 meetings ago, someone brought it up that Main and Vine is also seeing a lot of, and, extra traffic, and, yeah, Main Street is
Yes.
lots of people.
That's why we
Think-
switched our crosswalks to the piano keys to make them more visible.
Yeah.
Slow people down. They got the crosswalk pretty good.
Yeah.
We've been
But
trying to make
it's
something.
right at that block.
So you just can't put a traffic light anywhere because there are what PennDOT calls warrants. You have to meet certain guidelines to be able to put a traffic light or even a stop sign. So, it has to do with traffic volume and speed and how close another traffic light is. So, we'll relay this information to our
Yeah.
public safety director and our police officer and let them know that keep an closer eye on that.
Okay, thank you.
Martha Black, for what it's worth, I'd just like to add to this chorus for the South Union pool. Please do your best to keep the pool open. Please continue your creative thinking to save and open the pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Next, I'm gonna talk about the pools too. I agree with Scott here. I think pretty soon you're gonna have 0 pools with all the expenses that with expenses you said the cost of operating your pool. Well, they're having the same problem out there. I'm gonna throw something out here. I know you agreed to, I think, write a letter for a grant for them. Well, they're a nonprofit. Maybe you ought to throw them a bone besides, because I think you're pretty close to having 0 pools in town.
They're struggling.
Well,
They're struggling.
since they're a nonprofit, I don't know,
Yeah.
they want pools, well, I think you're pretty close to having none, so if you maybe throw them a bone and give them a grant or something like.
Yeah, they did apply for a grant.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
a grant.
Tax money, there are rules
The
on what
borough
tax money
doesn't.
is. You can't give tax money to a charity.
Nonprofit? What's the fire company?
That's different. There's special laws about fire departments.
All right.
Yeah.
I had nonprofit on mine.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Well, if there's no other public comment, do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.